Welcome back to That Game Place Live, everybody. How you doing? It has been a crazy week in the gaming sphere. A lot of stuff going on with Nintendo this week. They had their big Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. For those who don't know, it's a big live stream where they basically announce a bunch of new games coming from a lot of developers that aren't themselves. And partners are very important. You know, I got kind of scared when I heard, oh my gosh, there's all these games that are about to be unveiled. But then I remembered, I have partners. I have the best crew on YouTube. I have the amazing, wonderful Culture Casino. How are you doing, my good friend?
I'm good. Glad to be here tonight. We've got much stories. I'm very excited about all of them. I'm also excited about our other panelist, our guest star, the man, the myth, the legend, and basically the center of his own gravity, Kevin Apollo.
Gents.
Hey, Kevin.
Kevin!
How we doing?
Welcome. Good. I hear you're coming right off of Tooney Town Wrestling, so you got a busy night for you. How's that been?
It's been fun. I think my wife will probably strangle me by the time it's all said and done. But
we'll film it so we can monetize it later. Just remember that.
Yeah. Let's do that.
But, you know, speaking of partners, we got some awesome people already showing up in the chat because this show would not be complete without their amazing support. And they're here to interact on the gaming news as much as we are. Culture, could you share some of our beautiful folks?
Yeah, betcha. There's Juliet right down there at the bottom. You've got Extreme Meme. Hello. We've got Argentum. Greetings, young lady. Hope you're doing well. And it looks like Chris Dickerson is out there with the big red hand. That's right. That's the backhand right there. And then, of course, Ninja Pat. Sup, people. Sup. See, I can say sup, too. Sup. Of course, now it sounds like I'm asking for
kids.
Dinner. That's right.
This is That Game Place.
We
know the futuristic technology of Nintendo and Atari. Am I right? That's future tech.
That's right. Greetings, fellow kids. So, all right. Well, I think we're all ready. Nolan, what do we got? Do we have anything fun to talk about?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a blast tonight, everybody. Hold on to your socks. Hold on to your Nintendo socks, everybody, because let's go ahead and start out with our first story here tonight.
Okay.
All right. This is coming up here from CNBC. This is a two-parter right here. We got a two-part article going on. And this coming from Ryan Brown that says, Nintendo doubles quarterly revenue as Switch 2 sales hit 5.8 million units. I thought this was a very important thing to cover because there's been a lot of concern, you know, about, hey, with these Switch 2 prices, like, is Nintendo making an impact or is it just a lot of start of the console hype? And right now, the numbers are actually looking pretty good. Let's get into it a little bit. Nintendo more than doubled revenue in its fiscal first quarter as the company logged bumper sales of its Switch 2 console in the first month of release. Sales of the Nintendo Switch 2 now total 5.82 million units. The company said in an update on its investor relations website Friday. Here's how Nintendo did in the quarter ending on June 30th versus LSEG estimates. So the revenue was 572.3 billion Japanese yen. So they made a lot of profits. Operating profit, 56.9 billion yen. So it goes on to talk, you know, about a lot of math stuff the nerds like, but you know, with the Mario movie, it had a little bit of a decrease because sales for Nintendo's intellectual property related business, which includes movies and entertainment based on the company's original games, meanwhile declined 4.4% due to decreased revenue from the Super Mario Bros. Movie. As we know, Nintendo is a video game company, not a movie company. However, with all this going on, there has been a bit of concerns going on with the whole tariff situation. And as that's been dominating the news a bit, I would like to instead detour over to this article to get a broader picture of what's going on. If you'd like to bring it up on screen here, Mr. Culture. Polygon by Patricia Hernandez. Nintendo is raising prices on just about everything, including the original Switch. So as we see here, despite a pretty profitable time, it looks like there is going to be some adaptation here. In the wake of announcing that the Switch has hit a new sales milestone, Nintendo says that the price of the Switch and many of its accessories will now change in the United States. Based on market conditions, Nintendo not saying what exactly those prices changes are, but they're going to affect on August 3rd. This is on top of the previous increase in price for Switch 2 accessories announced earlier this year. You expect pricing adjustments for some of the Switch accessories such as controllers and amiibo. The list also includes every console in the Switch family, OLED model, Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Switch Lite, and accessories. Sorry to anyone who is holding out for buying Nintendo's Alarmo clock. So, the reason I wanted to bring these two together is this big thing of what I wanted to present to you guys. Nintendo has had a very profitable quarter despite all the concerns of is the Switch too expensive? And we're already seeing a massive fluctuation in price going on for the OG Switch. Kevin, what do you think's going on behind the scenes here? Do you think they're just trying to adapt to the tariffs, or do you think Nintendo's getting greedy despite a very good first quarter and maybe trying to make up for the lack of movies going on after the Mario movie success and maybe trying to capitalize it? What's your unique take on this?
I think we're seeing the consequences of the passing of Mr. Iwata is what's happening. Clearly the new bosses just want to bleed us dry. It's kind of how I'm seeing it, because why are you going back and jacking up the prices on outdated technology now? There's no reason for it. In reality, you should be wanting people to go and scoop out all that all that inventory that you can't do anything with. Instead, you're gonna essentially punish someone because they can't afford to buy a Switch 2. To me, this is just greed. I thought the tariff situation with the Japanese was settled, so this sounds kind of nonsensical to me. But any excuse to tighten the screws on consumers, I guess.
I think that's a very fascinating take, especially I think coming up with Doug Bowser. I seem to recall, and I could be incorrect on this, but they seemed like they were pretty committed to, the Switch 2 was going to be saying where the prices were at, despite, those early concerns earlier this year. But I guess they said nothing about the Switch 1. Culture, what do you think? Do you think this stuff's connected, or do you think there was a long-term game plan with this? What do you think?
Well, I think maybe they really should consider reducing the inventory by reducing the prices. That's how you get rid of the old stuff. The raising the prices on just about everything's a bad plan. If you do that, you're trapping yourself with old tech, and it'll just sit on shelves in GameStops and Walmarts and all the other retailers forever. And it's not going to encourage other people to buy the other game system, which might be their thinking. I just don't see that legitimately happening, because people are going to be like, you know what, I'll wait till I can afford the new tech. And then you've got a competition for people to wait out when they finally drop the properties on the new tech. It's just dumb. They've got a lot of questionable leadership right now. I am not a fan of Bowser. I think he's related to the actual Bowser, which is the whole problem. I'm waiting for somebody to throw a Koopa in the right spot so he can slide off the platform. But that's just me.
Get him out of that clown car while we're at it.
Right.
But I think this is extremely fascinating here, because I have never at all in my lifetime, nor reading up on the history books, on Nintendo ever raising prices of a past console after the launch of the replacement. Could you imagine if they did this with the Wii U? It would be people would be laughing at them for that. And the original Switch was already such a juggernaut in sales. Most of the people who wanted it have already made a purchase. And I know they're trying to keep covering the costs, but they have to think long term here. I know Nintendo isn't one for the good old clearance fire sales. That stuff stays expensive to ever. Just try to buy a copy of Luigi's Mansion on eBay. You're almost paying the same price of a modern game. But I don't know. This is just baffling. I feel like at this point, it would have made more sense to, maybe instead of send half the original amount of units shipped originally for the OG Switch, because you have to assume you're already encouraging people to buy the new one. And the new version is one of the few systems that are actually legitimately compatible with most games on the original system. The original Switch didn't have that going for it. So I gotta say, this is pretty baffling despite these positive numbers. Kevin, do you have any closing thoughts on this sort of thing? Do you think that there should be some flags being raised on the Nintendo fandom, or do you think we're being dramatic?
No, this is a very alarming trend. I was actually looking to see if Reggie Fils-Aimé had said anything, because I remember he made quite the stink about the what's the name of the game that's essentially just a tour of the new system?
Nintendo Switch 2 Tour, Welcome Tour was the name.
Yeah, so he pitched quite a fit when they charged you $10 to go take a tour of the system. So I'd be fascinated to see what he has to see now, what he has to say now. But no, this is a time now where fans need to start making sure they get heard, because we're being taken advantage of, and this from a company that is supposed to be a pro gamer, pro family, company. So this is a very disturbing trend, and too early into the Switch 2's life cycle, where people are still kind of on the fence. Like, you made a lot of money because you charged a lot of money.
Yeah, and hey, that's actually a great point, Kevin. Is could they be doing this as a strategic strategy to get people to be encouraged to buy the Switch 2? Because they're like, hey, if it's already go up in price, well, how about I pay the extra amount of money, like psychological game they're playing here, to where they're like, hey, just bite the bullet and buy the new system. The original Switch is already going up from $299 USD to now going up to $339. That is all pretty much a game upcharge for like an older game at this rate. So I don't know. This is just, Nintendo never ceases to baffle me on this sort of thing. Like, you think you've seen everything with them or where their new strategies are going, and they'll just give you a curveball. Culture, I'm going to give you the final word on this. What do you think their core logic is in this? If you were in the shoes of Nintendo, whether we agree with them or not, what do you think the goal is here? Do you think they're trying to maybe replace the OG ones faster, or do you think it's just all the root of greed?
Well, again, a lot of it's going to be the fact that they already sold these units to these retailers. And so, it's going to be up to the retailers to follow the price point or not. I think you're going to have a lot of opportunities for those retailers to like keep the price the same. But again, I'm not sure how they manage their inventory or how their sales operate at third-party resellers like Walmart and GameStop and all of that. So the only thought they could be having is, we need our customers to bite the bullet, buy the new console instead of buying the old one, so that we can make more profit in a shorter period of time than waiting out the customers that are waiting out the system, like people like me. Right? People like me who are saying, I'm not going to buy this till you have more games, because the old Switch has more games, and their sales strategy probably is, and this Bowser guy's not real bright, but his strategy is probably just to hold hostage the old systems in a financial way, to force people to make that consideration that you were talking about a moment ago, to buy the new system and be able to play the old games and still have the new games. And maybe Bonanza is going to encourage that, but I don't think there's a lot there to drive people across the finish line. So I'm thinking this is a dumb strategy, and you're not going to get people like me to bite the bullet. I already have a Switch too. I already have a Switch. In fact, I have two of them. That's the words I was trying to find. So there's that.
You have Switch 2 as in plural, not Switch 2.
I have two of them.
As in
yes.
Sequel.
I have two of those. I have two of them, of the big ones, not even the lights. Screw the lights. But, I guess for traveling. No, I didn't bother to upgrade, because I'm like, this is not a big enough upgrade when I can just put this on the dock and play it on this TV or on, a monitor. It's just, I always looked at that like, this is great if I was going to be traveling 12 days a month. I'm not traveling 12 days a month. I don't need it. So,
yeah.
Anyway, those are my thoughts.
Hey, I think they're valid thoughts, and I think if the Switch 2 can learn anything from Switch 1, it's, variety. There's a lot of people from very different walks of life who have bought the first Switch, and Nintendo's still in a bit of improvement mode with the Switch 2, and we're going to be definitely covering a lot, what's going on with the future when it comes to their games and such. But if I can close it out here, I think, your fans are anxious, so let's see what we can do to move forward to hopefully get a successful future for Nintendo. All right, Culture, we've had a lot of people dropping in, skydiving just to talk about Nintendo Switch 2. Would you like to introduce these beautiful people and figure out what they have to say, because they are very intelligent?
We got the beautiful people. the beautiful people. I think you said hi to Carl Singh already, but I'll do it again. Charlie Zulu Oscar. Hello, my friend. Hello. Welcome to the game stream. Pam Epson is in the house. Hello. 3 hunky game people. Well, thank you. Culture.
Thank you,
Casino,
Pam.
Kevin Apollo, and Nolan Thunder. That's right. And a few other folks rolled through the door. For those of you who joined us late, thank you for joining us. We will continue to keep this game stream at the same time, same bat channel for the foreseeable future, so we can say hi to great people like Bass Player Iffy, Bass Player 2011 Iffy. I'm not buying until you have more games and a 1-year price drop. That sounds sound to me. Very, very.
You know, we've had so much criticism for the Switch, the past few months, and it's funny, like, if they were to just make that move, I know it's, easier said than done with financials to have, like, a price drop, but honestly, even with kind of the bleak game library it currently has on the market, that is, I feel like that would just negate so many issues, and it'd be like, okay, just let them cook. But right now, I feel like they're not really going to Walmart for their meat. They're going to the bougie food stores, and you're kind of wondering what they're doing with the credit card right now.
Yeah, it kind of feels like that. And I don't know, Kevin, are you still holding off like I am, or did you bite the bullet, or what happened?
I'm stuck in the middle. So I made a brand new friend at a gaming retailer. I won't say where, but
support the retailers.
He was like, "Hey, there's a Pokemon bundle, and they're very limited, and I only have 5. Do you want one? You can change your mind later." So I put in a reserve for the this Pokemon bundle for the Switch 2.
Ooh, okay.
Nintendo has until October to keep to behave.
Keep them in their place, Kevin. There's one person I don't want to make mad. It's Kevin Apollo. I'll tell you that right now. So yeah, we're seeing some interesting takes in the chat, but guys, there was the big news of the week, which was the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. And we've been, like I said, pretty critical about, hey, Nintendo, you need to bring the games. You're not Xbox. Oh, did I say that? Oh, yeah. But Nintendo usually supplies a lot of stuff. And you know what? They had a whole dedicated live stream earlier this week to talk about what they had to unveil. And we're going to be going over a lot of the highlights here. We don't want to give you the bogus stuff that nobody cares about, Madden. We want to give you the good stuff that's going to mean the future and what you're going to be buying for yourself, friends, kids, whatever, this holiday season. And I'm going to give you the ultimate highlight that came from this showcase. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the pack is back. Culture, are you ready to show the people? The headline, coming straight to you from Video Game Chronicles. Namco's 2002 platformer Pac-Man World 2 is getting a remake. This is posted by Chris Scullion, and he's a messenger of glee to our nations. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be a little biased here for just a moment. When I was just a wee little Nolan Thunder, gonna age the panel here, I had my sweet Nintendo GameCube, and one of the first games I ever played in my life was Pac-Man World 2. It was, to this day, I still think it's one of the greatest platformers. Maybe there's a little bit of nostalgia goggles, but it was a expertly crafted 3D platformer that took Pac-Man to the next level. It's like the Mario 64 of Pac-Man. Nay, may I say, it is the standard of what Pac-Man can be. And we're going to talk about it right here, right now. Bandai Namco has announced that Pac-Man World 2 is getting a remake, like its predecessor did. Pac-Man World 2 Repack is coming to Switch 2, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, PS4, and PC on September the 26th. Pac-Man World 2 was originally released in 2002 on PS2, GameCube, and Xbox. This remake gives the game a modern makeover, as well as expanded levels and Pac Village, quality life improvements, and voice acting. It appears that this includes the return of Martin Sherman, who voiced Pac-Man in the third game, Pac-Man World 3. It's been a hot minute since that game, so I'm glad they've brought him back. According to Bandai Namco, the remake will give Pac-Man new abilities, will update the boss battles, and will add new characters, collectibles, and customizations. It will also feature a 2-player mode. The game will be sold as a standard edition and a digital deluxe edition. The deluxe edition will include the base game as well as collaboration set, which consists of 3 collab stages, a collab costume, and 20 collab figures, as well as a legendary Pac-Land costume. I'm going to bring up some images here of this beautiful artistic masterpiece, and I have to ask to the panel. All right, Kevin, I'm starting with you. Did you ever hear or play this game back in 2002? I mean, I know we're busy with better music back then, but did you ever play this game?
No, but I had to. I loved it because I had Pac-Land for the TurboGrafx 16, and I loved it. So if this is anything like that, I'm very excited.
Nice. How about you, Culture? Did you get your Pac-Man experience in 02?
I'm an old guy. The answer is no. I was done with Pac-Man a decade before that, and I didn't revisit any of the packs or anything like that. I know that my siblings did because I saw them, but this does look keenly interesting. So maybe I'll go back in time. We'll see.
You go back in time.
There you go. I go back in time. Super butt
that is what was actually a game, FYI, everybody, and it was weird. It was very weird. Yeah.
Thank you, Pam, for sharing us to Facebook.
Oh yes. We also find us on Facebook here, and I you know what? I'm probably the one who's going to geek out the most right now, like a kid in Toys R Us. But I don't know. This game held. It was a reflection of the time, you know, where every company felt like they needed to get on that Mario juggernaut. Like every company needed to have a platforming mascot. You had Croc, Legend of the Gobos. You had Ty, the Tasmanian Tiger. A lot of those guys didn't stick around. Even Crash Bandicoot in the later years was having some troubles trying to stay, you know, relevant after the initial Naughty Dog days. But, you know, Namco, Pac-Man is so evergreen, you know. They can sell the first game no matter what and get people to buy it for like a laundromat or something like that. And they were really trying to push Pac-Man to a bigger brand image at this time. You know, the whole game had like a full-on orchestral soundtrack to this day, which I think is one of the greatest soundtracks ever put to a video game. And I think this is a great opportunity for a whole new audience to get into it. And this is the second time they've done the remake treatment. They did a remake of the original Pac-Man World on the OG PlayStation, and it must have sold pretty darn well because everyone was clamoring for this remake, and they seem to greenlit it. It got a budget to prove it. Kevin, did you ever play any of the 3D arrays in the Pac-Man, like Maze Madness or the original Pac-Man World?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm kind of in the culture boat where I think I was just a smidgen too old and was doing something else. Like I said, the last time I played Pac-Man was TurboGrafx 16 Pac-Land.
Well, I'll tell you, Kevin, real men play Pac-Man World 2, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to welcome you into the world of manliness, and we're going to get our Pac-Man on in this shindig. Culture, you know what? Seeing as how you didn't play the original game, I'm going to tell you a little story right here, okay? So when they were trying to bring Pac-Man into 3D way back when, are you familiar with Pac-Man Ghost Zone by chance?
Seems Say that again. I didn't quite catch it all.
Are you familiar with the game Pac-Man Ghost Zone?
I think so.
What it was is, I'm going to blow everyone's minds here for a minute. So they were trying to bring Pac-Man to 3D, and we eventually got it with the OG Pac-Man World. But there was an attempt being made at the time to bring Pac-Man to 3D, and what they were going to do is they were going to do a game called Pac-Man Ghost Zone, and it was going to be on the PlayStation as well, and there were actually even 3D motion cutscenes, much like the World games had, that were going to like tell the story. They were making a lot of progress, but they ended up giving the game the axe. The trippy part about the game was that the Pac-Man wasn't just going to be Pac-Man like he is in this game. He was going to be absorbed into the arcade cabinet, and the little boy who was making fun of Pac-Man and how lame and old of a game it is was going to morph into Pac-Man, and that was going to be our star of that adventure. So it sounds like a really bad Hollywood remake, and I'm very grateful that we ended up on this timeline where we could celebrate Pac-Man finally making a great return, because I don't know if that game would have been remake material. It sounds kind of cringy. But there's your little little tangent for the day. I know, like,
wasn't that? Wait a minute. I thought that was supposed to be like the Mario 64 version of Pac-Man. Ghost Zone?
Yeah. No, Ghost Zone was going to be the 3D Awakening of Pac-Man, so it was going to be the 64 of Pac-Man, but something, I don't know if it was budget or maybe someone on the development team was like, you know what, homie, this is a little too weird. Let's go with the safer option in Pac-Man World. I think some of the details on that matter are still a little blurry. But yeah, no, instead we got World, which ended up being the Mario 64 of Pac-Man. And I think we ended up in a better situation because of that. But I don't know, maybe someone in other timelines like, hey, Pac-Man Ghost Zone repack remake on Nintendo Direct. Let's see it, homie.
Either I'm dropping out or you are. I don't know what's happening with my audio, but look, this does look interesting to me. Maybe I will join your crazy cult when it comes out.
Join us.
It looks cool. I mean, you know, but I'm a sucker for like stylized 3D games, like, you know, and this is, you know, this is from an era that I think a lot of people are going to enjoy. So maybe it'll be good.
All right, Kevin, I'm going to give you the final word on this thing. Will you give this game a chance to unlock that missing happiness in your life? I'm telling you, man, this is the bee's knees. The Pac-Man Fever song would have been #1 platinum if this happened in the 80s. I'm telling you.
You know what? You've convinced me. I will give this a try. I'll give this a try.
Get it!
And I'll
Goals
do it while
reached.
watching the old Pac-Man cartoon in the background.
Yes. Christmas Comes to Pac-Land?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Well, you know, there's one, everybody. So Namco already has one sale. I'm doing their work here. But yeah, no, I'm very excited for this, and I think this is the kind of headline the Switch 2 desperately needed. So, but we'll see what happens. We will definitely see what happens with this thing. All right, Culture, now I'm done being a fanboy. We can get back to the proper news. Would you like to see what the chat has to think of our sweet Pac-Man?
Carl Singh says, I was 6 when it came out. And a lot of people enjoyed it. Let's see. Stream shared to FB. Okay, I got that one. And now, if only we could get Ape Escape remakes or a new game. You guys are crazy. I love how everybody's going back in the past on stuff. You know, McSpoon's here. What's up, McSpoon? Look at all these great people. Classic Pac-Man Arcade and the Pac-Man World games are peak quality for that universe. Well, there you go. Yeah, let's just say I've been talked into it, but I may not be completely sold. We'll see. I may pick it up and then I don't know, give it to somebody if I don't enjoy it. So at least somebody will get enjoyment out of it. But,
give it to me. Give it to me.
It looks like something that I would enjoy. So we'll see. We'll see.
But you know what? I think, you know, this might be a little more consistent to what you're more familiar with in the gaming sphere, because I don't think that was the biggest announcement. It was the biggest announcement in Nolan Thunder's heart. But I think the biggest announcement for the masses was a brand new trailer for Legend of Zelda, my friend.
Oh yeah, people definitely enjoyed this.
All right, coming to us from the good folks at Screen Rant by Brandon Key. Thank you, Brandon Key. The headline states, new Zelda game trailer shows off more of Tears of the Kingdom prequel setting. The upcoming Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment has now detailed its setting and characters, and it appears we're far from finished with The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom timeline. Age of Imprisonment is set to expand on the Tears of the Kingdom lore, much like Age of Calamity and its time-traveling story did for Breath of the Wild. So I guess we're going all Doc Brown in this thing. Shown during the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase livestream on Nintendo of America's YouTube page, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment will feature Zelda being teleported from the Tears of the Kingdom time to the imprisoning war in the same timeline, and will fight alongside King Rauru and Queen Sonia in a canon story leading up to the events of Tears of the Kingdom. Additionally, it seems Age of Imprisonment will tie other elements of past Zeldas into the narrative. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up the trailer here so we can get a little bit of some screen caps here to check it out. While we're getting that up on screen here, Kevin, have you had any familiarity with either the Hyrule Warrior games or the Dynasty Warrior games? Because I know this kind of genre originated from the Dynasty Warrior series back in the day.
Many a PlayStation 2 controller got broken.
Oh, we got lore here. Tell me more, Kevin.
Oh, am I back?
Yep, you're here, homie. Loud and clear. Tell us about your lore.
I'd say, yeah, many a PlayStation 2 controller got broken playing Dynasty Warriors. And then I played the first Hyrule Warriors game. I thought it was super cool. The Dynasty Warrior games are kind of mindless and super repetitive, but I really kind of just like them. There's nothing like just riding from one side of the map to the other to go, chop up a bunch of, samurai and then go on about your business. So, I had a lot of fun doing it when it was with Zelda characters. So I'm into this.
What about you, Culture? Did you ever play any of the Dynasty Warriors or Zelda or Hyrule Warriors games back in the day?
Hyrule Warriors, yeah. I think I enjoyed most of that era of games. I might have some trouble with, just because they're switching it up in a way that maybe I won't enjoy, but I don't know. See, I don't want to draw conclusions from any of the new Nintendo stuff coming out because we're in a completely different era. We have, different game system to operate from. We have, it's not just the new equipment; it's the new game engine, the more powerful game engine that's being utilized for these games, or at least it's being able to take advantage of the new equipment. So, to me, a lot of times when they came up with a new idea, or sometimes even new games, they just always felt like they weren't refined or finished. I just want this to feel finished. Does that make sense?
No, I think that's a great point, because anytime a consumer is paying big money for a product, you want to make sure there's all that detail. And we got, dare I say, we've been spoiled from the past because, so many of the OG Zelda games are chock full of stuff. Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, you could play those games for decades, honestly. But I think this new game might have a chance to, win some hearts, some households. I do have the trailer ready. If Culture would like to bring it up on screen here, my friend. We can't go on and play the full-on trailer, or else the Nintendo ninjas might stab me with a sword. But I can show a bit of what's happening here and some images from said trailer. We're going to go all Windows Movie Maker on this baby. Yeah. So we're going to see, we got Zelda. We got some craziness going on in the world. This character, oh my goodness, I cannot remember her name. I'm going to call her Skippy. But yeah, it's got some wildness going on. It's pretty much what you expect to see out of Hyrule Warriors games. A lot of action, a lot of cool character designs. One thing that was always really cool to me about these kind of games was the fact that it's Team Ninja behind it, and Team Ninja puts out quality games. I don't always agree with some of their consumer practices, but I am a huge fan of their products, especially from the folks over at Tecmo, DOA, and all that. It's an icon to me, and they have clearly shown that they got a tried and true level of success with the Hyrule Warriors games, because I believe this is the third one. And I remember a controversy that came in the original Hyrule Warriors was that back on the Wii U days, was that people were disappointed that the game wasn't canon because they felt like it could connect some of the gaps between the games and kind of fill some voids in the timeline. Because there's one thing that's been consistent with Zelda fans over the years: they haven't been too thrilled with how Nintendo handles the timeline. There's a lot of holes, and it seems like the lore can be a bit of an afterthought sometimes in regards to connecting the games. But this is apparently a tried and true canon installment that's going to connect to Tears of the Kingdom, and with that, Breath of the Wild. So I think, Team Ninja or Tecmo, Team Ninja, all that, they've earned a lot of respect from Nintendo, it looks like, to be able to handle one of their most trusted IPs, like they've definitely gotten a bit more crazy on who they're willing to trust with their IPs. So, the movie business happening. But I think, that's a very good sign that hopefully this game's in good hands. Kevin, what do you think here? Do you think this might be a system seller for the Switch? What do you think's going to happen here?
I think it could be. People love Zelda content no matter where it comes from. So, especially if this is going to connect, we know it's a canon event. It's going to bridge the gap. So I can see a lot of people gobbling this up just for the sake of seeing how the story plays out. So I'm like I said, I'm all for this. Sometimes you just want to have some mindless fun and have it look pretty while you do it. So this game should definitely check both boxes.
And it seems like this game is... Oh, go ahead, Culture. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the art style's, solid. And you can't say that about a lot of new games.
Yeah.
No, a lot of them look very generic, and you could tell like there's a lot of heart being put in this thing. Like I'd argue the game is beautiful. Do I think it looks like next gen hardware compared to the first, Switch Hyrule Warriors installment? No, I've never really felt that way about the Switch 2. Nor do I feel like it truly needs to be that way. I'd like it if it was that way, but it doesn't really need to be that way. However, to justify the purchase, this game's got to be really solid. And I find it extremely fascinating, that Link is not the forefront of this one. Most of what we've seen, has been Zelda and the Sages and all that. And I think this kind of rubs in the face of some people are like, hey, it's about time Zelda headlined a title. Well, it's like, you know what? She's been doing it for a very long time, going back to the CDIs. And I think Nintendo's finding a lot of fun ways to put a twist on the lore. And I mean, if it's the folks, behind Dynasty Warriors, I think we're in for a very good time. I don't think this is going to be the, I got to get my hands on the Switch 2 just to play Hyrule Warriors, baby. But I think this is going to be a great complementary piece, especially, while we're waiting for some of the heavy hitters, hopefully to come around this holiday season. But yeah, that's going to be Zelda, Hyrule Warriors. And I got to say, if there's one more thing I could say before we move on, this title, I'm a dork for this title. Age of Imprisonment, that sounds like a young adult novel. You go into the back section of Barnes and Noble and you see Zelda's got tears in her eyes. She's got a black sword in her hand. I don't know, maybe I'm looking way too deep into it, but I don't know. I like where they're going with Zelda here these days. Kevin, am I insane? I'm gonna give the final word here.
I mean, Zelda's been kidnapped by a handsome werewolf who wants to laugh at her with gifts, and she's angry.
I was thinking more graphic novel, but that too.
Well, hey, I was starting to, thanks to Nolan, I was starting to picture a young man named Christian who's into freaky bedtime stuff, and finds an innocent young lady who's never done any bedtime stuff. I think.
So you're on.
I went to a garage sale this week, and 2 of the 50 Shades books are in there, but I'm going to take that as a sign from the universe that we're not going to go deeper in this topic. Instead, check out Hyrule Warriors when it comes out, everybody. Oh my goodness. But you know what I am going to take a look at? These beautiful people in the chat. Culture, can you share our wonderful audience on screen while I get the next story ready?
Yeah, betcha. Argentum says no monster romance references. Oh yeah, no Twilight. You want more 50 Shades, less Twilight. I get it. We also have a Ninja Pat out there saying she wouldn't romance her great grandpa. Well, you don't know. That's a little Twilight reference. We got Low Spec asking if we got this on Rumble yet. Not yet, but I'm about to have a conversation with others, so we'll see.
Hey.
And yeah, it does look really good visually. I agree with you. And that was my whole point. I'm like, this is really cool art and art style. I thought it would be great. Too Bad Tears Breath Timeline. Too Bad Tears Breath Timeline is a crap show. I was a little disjointed. Yeah.
Better or worse than Zelda games of old, I think would be the deeper question. Is this more or less cohesive than Skyward Sword?
TGP is monetized. We have our hours. We should. I believe we can accept super chats still. We're trying to get back to our 10,000 hours a month minimum, if not closer to 100,000 if we can. But we took a little bit of a break, so we need to rebuild a little bit, and that will be courtesy of you guys. Thank you for your help. What are you
brick
showing
by brick? What is that, Kevin?
Yeah. What are?
I was digging through old boxes, and I found
the Attitude Era. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What is that game called, Kevin?
WWF Attitude. Get it from Acclaim.
Gotta
Wow.
keep in mind for our
Very
audio
ugly,
viewers
but
that
almost
they
good.
got The Rock. They got The Rock was cooking tonight.
There you go. McSpoon wants to call us that literature place. Argentum says that 50 Shades is a crime against literature. And there you go. All right. So we're good.
Much like Skyward Sword. Oh, did I say that?
We're all caught up. We're all caught up.
All right, perfect. But I just wanted to say, in regards to Pam, yes, hey, you guys' support is really the thing that, really helps us out. We coming off of a big break there, but the past few weeks, everything the heart you've been pouring in the chat has been noticed and appreciated. And we're trying to do everything we can behind the scenes to get you guys as much of a great experience as possible and help you as much be part of the team as we can. And do you always ever have suggestions of like what you guys would like to see? Let us know. We're open ears. We always got a lot of topics, but you know what? If there's something the public demands, as long as it's not demanding culture to buy a Switch 2 before or too early, I think we'll be okay. But anyways, speaking of culture, I think we're ready for the next story. Would you agree? All right. MFS from IGN. Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase, July 2025, everything announced by Adam Bankhurst. This is coming from IGN. And I wanted to use this as a chance to go over some of the highlights that we've been getting on this week when it comes to the gaming announcements. Because, oh my goodness, they announced a lot of things. There was some Snorefest stuff in there, but I tell you, I think this was a pretty solid Direct as far as that kind of announcement goes. I usually am always the opposite. If someone thinks they had an amazing Nintendo Direct, I'm like, no, that sucked. I fell asleep like halfway through it. But no, I think there were some powerful announcements here. We had Monster Hunter Story 3 Twisted Reflection announced for 2026. We had Octopath Traveler 0, which brings a new HD 2D adventure to Switch 2 this December. It's one of those like Final Fantasy type games where, it's that 2D 3D remake style where it's like you got like this really detailed 3D environment and then you got like classic pixels for the graphics, and it's just a really cool hodgepodge of stuff. Also got The Adventures of Elliot, The Millennium Tales is Square Enix's latest new adventure RPG coming to Switch 2. And I want to use this segment as a moment to really be like, hey, what is it that you need to be excited for coming up in the coming months here? We had Final Fantasy Tactics, Madden FL 26, Culture. Was there anything in this Direct that really stood out to you from what we see here or what you've heard, from the woodworks that could be, something to bring like more of a must-have scenario for the Switch? Because I think one of the biggest questions we have to ask here is the Switch finally delivering on the game promises that we've been told, like, hey, they're coming, it's going to be great, it's going to justify the price. Do you think these kind of third-party announcements might be enough to finally get the Switch rolling? Do you see any standouts you're kind of excited for here?
Well, it's funny you mention that because you're kind of highlighting some of as you scroll through here, and that, unfortunately, I didn't get to watch. I had to read through stories like this to understand what was going on. I still think there's too many games that are too far away that are like top reach kind of games that are going to get some reach. But I think the game you demonstrated with the Pac-Man, obviously, that beautiful Hyrule Warriors game with, that great art with some of these other things. I mean, I saw that the Apex Legends 2 is coming. There's a few things in here that's definitely going to intrigue more and more people. But I think we're going to have to get to 2027 really before you're going to have enough games out there that the majority of people that are Switch players are going to be, moving to the Switch too. But like I said, I'm not saying there's not anything. There definitely is. And it looks like Persona 3 Reload is going to be launching. Wait a minute. On October 23? Oh, on Switch. Oh, okay. Not on Switch 2. That'll still be playable on Switch 2. But like I said, there are a few things in there that would intrigue me. But if I can still play it on my Switch, I don't know necessarily I'm compelled to switch up.
Switch up.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. I 100% agree with that on the matter. And
but they're getting there. They're getting there. I guess I just want to be fair because you've got some things that are coming to Switch 2 for Switch 2 with the better graphics and everything else, but they still need a solid catalog of new games, and I think that's around the corner. But I don't think it's 2026. I think it's 2027. So,
yeah, I think that's extremely well said. And I think one key thing we haven't really gone over yet is that a lot of these announcements, unlike a lot of directs we've seen in the past with the OG Switch, a lot of these games are October and September. So you're realistically not waiting very long for these games, which shows some potential for the future. If they came out like with another disaster, kind of like what they have the Wii U era where they had the initial Nintendo Directs or whatever type systems they were using back then. I think the Directs were around back then, and they were bringing out like the titles for like the whole year, and it's like, hey, whoa, this is looking bleak, and that was probably scaring some of the third-party developers off. Whereas here, it's like, hey, it's only you only got to wait a few weeks, and you're going to give y'all a chance to play a lot of these games. I think, that is a good sign, because I think that means like, hey, we're not just giving you all of 2026 halfway through the year. We just, it's like, here's some stuff to hold you over for now. Right. I know Dragon Ball Z Sparking was a big one. Go ahead, Culture.
No, I was just going to say, and I'm not sure if Kevin wants to jump in on this, but I still feel like this is the PlayStation 5. There is no catalog for this system yet. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you right now, PlayStation 5 does not have any games. They still have almost no games.
Hey, it's a great paperweight. What are you talking about?
It's beautiful paperweight, and it does make the games look more prettier, and the games that are available for it are excellent. But we're halfway through this console or more, and where's my games?
Sony Senpai, please deliver the game. Kevin, where are the games? Nintendo Switch 2 or PlayStation? Pick your answer.
I've been asking that forever. Oh, I'm frozen again. Is it my internet?
No, you hear, loud and clear, my friend. Oh no, the Sony ninjas got to Kevin. They heard what the smack he was talking about, the PlayStation folks, and they want to shut him down. But you know what? At TGP, that game place, we're all about reporting the truth and our own opinions about Sony, and I don't think Sony likes it. What I was wanted to ask Kevin was, I know Dragon Ball is pretty big for them. I was not a Dragon Ball kid, but I know the fighting games have been a huge success. There have been like a million of them, and Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is coming to the Switch too. Culture, I'm going to bring this over to you then.
Sure.
With Kevin being currently tackled by every Nintendo and Sony ninja imaginable.
Right.
Were you a Dragon Ball kid?
No, not really. But you know who's really excited about this game is Marvin the Movie Monster. Marvin was talking about this game back when the console was announced, because this had been out there in the world that it was coming. So I have a feeling if he was around, we'd get a pretty good breakdown of what he would think. I'll
hijack him one day this week and find out like what his takes are. Don't worry, we'll get the monsters' takes.
And I'm going to tell you, Loki. Stone Cold Loki is also was talking very highly of this game during a couple of shows as well. I just look. Going back to stuff that can now play on multiple consoles, again, not a bad idea, but it also runs into a problem for everybody else, because now there doesn't feel like there's anything new or exclusive, and Switch 2 actually needs that. But those are my. I don't know that I can add more to my thoughts because I didn't get to see this event, but from everything I have read. That was primarily my takeaway.
Hey, I think that's very well said. We don't just need games, we need system sellers. I think if the Switch 2 had launched with something that was like a Mario Odyssey type game, like a Mario Odyssey 2 or a Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild type game, that was a tried and true exclusive, I think we might be having a bit of a different story. And we're seeing some signs of that with Donkey Kong Bonanza. But, Donkey Kong's never been, except for maybe the OG country games, the arcade game, it's usually not considered a system seller. It's a very great franchise, which is earned a lot of sales, a lot of respect, and everybody knows Donkey Kong. But I don't think that it's one of those to where it's going to be like, oh man, we need Donkey Kong to the pack-in title. And we're definitely seeing a solid onslaught here with the positive reaction of these third-party games. But I don't think we're seeing the tried and true, like, hey, what is the future going to be for Nintendo with this sort of thing? And in the meantime, we've gotten our wonderful Mr. Kevin Apollo back. And Kevin, what I was going to ask you was, what are your thoughts on this new Dragon Ball game? I know you're a big Dragon Ball guy.
Did he freeze again?
Oh my gosh, yes. All right, yep, he's frozen solid. We tried our best, folks, but Kevin, all right, yep. Just saying, if we're on air, I guess I'll say to Sony, please spare our good friend Kevin Apollo. We need him back for that gameplay. Oh, he didn't come back. Sony, listen. Yes, they turned my calls finally. They forgive me for what I said about the PlayStation 3. Kevin, I wanted to ask you about this new Dragon Ball game, but apparently the forces of the universe don't want to hear your thoughts. I know you like Dragon Ball.
I know, but I'm a Dragon Ball guy. I listen to I listen to a Dragon Ball song when I bring Duke to daycare every morning. So we're a Dragon Ball house. I'm kind of into it. I got bored with the older Dragon Ball games. I thought it was a little repetitive, and then I just realized that as I got a little older, my button mashing, I just after Capcom versus SNK, and I only had to push one button to do all the moves, I decided I didn't want to live that button mashing life anymore. No, I can't do this. These hands are too big.
You left that lifestyle. Yeah. It wasn't for you.
Yeah. Well, once the button configuration stopped being A, B, I was done. So a lot of characters, not a lot of repeats. I don't have to redo. I don't have to redo. The same sagas that I've watched 7 jillion times. It's pretty cool. It looks beautiful. I love that these games look better and better and better every time they come out now. And it looks like the fighting from watching people play. It's simple enough that I can pretend I can enjoy it for a few hours, and it definitely looks like something I could, grab for a weekend and enjoy and probably never go back to, but it would be a really good weekend.
So I think that's well said. I think I played one of the Dragon Ball Budokai games back in the day, and I knew nothing about these characters. And, I think I knew more about the General Lee toys that my uncle had hanging on the wall than I did the Dragon Ball guys. It was an experience, and that's definitely changed a lot these days. But would you say, Kevin, to give you the last word here, what do you think's the standout thing here? And do you think that any of these are going to make a big impact, going forward with the Switch, too?
I think we're supposed to pretend that Madden will. Madden has its fans, but I think most Madden people would rather do this on a PlayStation, and I think we're supposed to pretend that we have an Xbox. I think probably if anything, it's going to be Zelda, be Final Fantasy, and I'm sure there's another sleeper in here. There's another sleeper in here somewhere. Oh, a Persona. Or was that Switch only? Is that regular Switch or Switch 2?
Oh no, this will be on Switch 2.
Okay, so I think you've got a couple of sleepers in there. I still agree with Culture though. We need a little bit more of a Nintendo proper catalog to get people fired up. These are great, but without having a really big Mario title, like a Mario proper title, and not a cart, you just, or something just really weird and hokey that no one saw coming. These are great support games. These are fantastic support games to kind of buy you some time, to get to the holidays, or your aunt knows that you like video games, so you get this random game because she tried, and you'll give it a go. But yeah, I need a little more. I need a little more meat on the bone. These are good appetizers. I won't say no, but
Yeah. Hey, I agree completely. You know, they're complementary games. You know, they're made to go. They're the fries of games. They're made to go with a good entree. You know, and sometimes you get some really good fries. You get like Riley's fries, but other times, you know, you get McDonald's fries. They're just kind of so. You know, and if there's one more thing I want to bring, you know, to these announcements, because like I said, I'm pretty eager that, you know, a lot of them are only a month or two away, so it's not like it's dominating the market. Apex Legends, I think, is going to be a very big success on there due to the success of that game. I have to take one more moment, though, because I got a meme on Ubisoft for a minute, because they announced that Star Wars Outlaws, and they gave a designated trailer on this during the Switch 2 after, if you were a residential viewer of that gameplay, so we actually reported on this, that they are not going to do a sequel to it. And good old Ubisoft, only a few days later, they didn't even just put it in the montage. They gave special treatment for this game for a little bit, just to let you know, hey, Outlaws fans, get in on this thing if we haven't tortured you enough with this game. And I'd understand if, you know, they're trying to get, you know, their money's worth for this game. They probably already had contracts in place. But it's one of those where it's like, you do realize Ubisoft is a company that's making your value go down, because it's not like you're just putting it in there because, you know, like Madden's, like, because you know it will sell. At this point, I'd be kind of like, hey, can we maybe focus on, I don't know, bringing, dare I say, the new Assassin's Creed to the Switch, because at least that is still a part of a very, very profitable series that can theoretically rebound, whether it's under the Ubisoft umbrella or not. Outlaws is not really that connected to the broader scale of Star Wars as far as the fandom and the people who are paying the cash money for it go. And it's such an afterthought. It boggles my mind. Culture, I'm going to make you talk about Outlaws one more time, because I know this game has tortured you for a very long time. What do you think? Do you think we're finally about to see the end of this game?
I think Outlaws will be gone, you know, like a fart in the wind. At least on this console, nobody wants it. You know, specifically the rest of this stuff, as I said before, just feels like also rans. Look, I'm not going to budge from my position I have now held for the last 12 minutes. You need a catalog of games, but no, I don't think Outlaws is going to help anybody. Star Wars, Ubisoft, gamers. People trying to maintain their sanity.
Even starving homeless people can't eat the game. It's not edible. This game doesn't help anybody. Maybe some firewood, maybe. But you shouldn't burn plastic, because that's not good for your health.
No, I mean, possibly this could be good for insomniacs, but that's about it. So, yeah, it's a terrible game.
Yeah. But, yep, that was the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. You know, a lot of mixed feelings towards it, but I think overall, it's just another example of what the Switch 2 is. Wait and see. Let's just hope we're not waiting and seeing for the next 7 years. We'll wait and see. All right, but you know what? I can't wait any longer, Culture. I think I want to see what the chat has to say, because I'm impatient.
Well, let's start here with a super chat. That's right, tonight's first super chat. £2 sterling. Straight from Pam Ebson, saying just a few bucks to support the hunky guys. Thank you very much. We got XX. Thank you. Very, very. It's a very nice.
Someone needs to Photoshop all of us on like that old school wrestling game cover art, you know, where you got Hulk Hogan and all them on it. I can't remember that. Kevin would know the name of the game, that NES game from back in the day.
Thomas Brown says Outlaws has already ended. They are just parodying around the corpse. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And Argentum, this is a good way to approach it. Mixed feelings sums up my view of Nintendo. You and I are on the same page right now. Anyway, Captain Phantom Nerd is out there joining us tonight. Great to see you, my friend.
Thank you, Captain.
And of course, Ninja Pat says they need a catalog of their games, not third party, that you can get cheaper on other consoles or PC. And that's the other problem. Because when things get to, I don't know, Steam, you can get it on sale for much, much cheaper. So that's a huge difference. And that's the kind of thing that we need. A bass player, 2011 Iffy says, it would be nice. It would be very nice to see the rest of the Assassin's catalog on Switch. They stopped at Rogue, which I think was a mistake. Everything I thought, let's see, Rogue came out the same time as Syndicate? Like one was on one console, one was on the other. The Switch only got Rogue.
Oh my gosh, I remember that. Oh, yeah, that was so weird.
Yeah, it was really odd. Oh, you can be an exclusive over here. Why? Nobody wants to play Assassin's Creed on
exclusive gaming, everybody.
On Xbox. Yeah, no thanks. Anyway, it's just sad, and that's kind of where, it's kind of where we're at. Switch deserves to get most of the catalog, but I don't think it needs any of the mobile game garbage that came out. You know, there was a lot of those that were in the way too. Look, Ubisoft lost direction when they were starting to be accused by employees of, playing about with their employees in a bad way. That didn't help.
And we don't mean Mario Kart.
No. So, I mean, that's why we are where we are. It's why they bent the knee to all the wokeness. And they became very un-French at that point in time. So, or maybe they became nouveau French, like that silly fellow that apparently leads the country that's destroying it at the same time. I don't know.
His wife's got such big hands.
Anyway,
Culture, tell me how you really feel.
I'm going to stop now because we probably have another story that we need to get to. I just want to say thank you for the support, everybody, very much.
Thank you, especially Pam. Thank you so much for the super chat. And guys, you hyped because I got some depressing news for you. You want some depressing stories?
Oh, hey, that's why we're all here. All 200 and change of y'all. 237 of you in all between platforms. Hey. Way to go. All right.
Woo!
Boom.
All right. This one's a little bonus story here. Coming from Game Developer by Chris Kerr. That sounds like a superhero name. Dang. The headline states, Microsoft becomes PlayStation's top publisher and annual Xbox Game Pass revenue nears $5 billion. The article goes on to say, Xbox hardware revenue decreased by 25% during fiscal year ended June 30th, 2025. But Microsoft has indicated there is a cause for optimism after it became the top publisher on PlayStation during quarter 4. The U.S. tech giant's latest fiscal results confirm Xbox hardware sales are in decline, although annual gaming revenue increased by 9% year-on-year to $23.5 billion. Annual Xbox content and services revenues increased 16% year-on-year, driven by the impact of the company's massive Activision Blizzard merger. As some of you might already know, we've discussed before about how Nintendo was also reporting their, quarterly reports, and it was like up and away with a lot of things regarding the Switch 2, with even some things down from the Mario movie. But Xbox, it seems like it's a very different story because, all these companies are coming through being like, hey, here's our earnings, and Xbox being all like, yikes, hardware ain't looking too great, homies. As laid out in Microsoft's latest 10K filing, the company emphasized that Xbox revenue is largely impacted by subscriptions and sales of first and third-party content. Growth of our gaming business is determined by the overall active user base through Xbox-enabled content, availability of games, providing exclusive game content that gamers seek, the computational power and reliability of the device used to access our content and services, and the ability to create new experience stated by the company. So, about the most generic corporate, we're bringing Xbox games. It's amazing, baby. But, I'm going to shift this over to Mr. Kevin Apollo here. What do you think about this? They seem like Xbox is acting like everything's all right, but their unit sales are done, but they don't, unlike Nintendo, they don't have a new system on the market. What do you think's going on here, Kevin? Is there a deep evil plan Microsoft's concocting here? Like, what are we thinking here?
I mean, it's Microsoft. There's always a deep evil plan. I guess I just wish they'd be open about it. We don't want to be in the console business anymore. So just pull the Band-Aid off. Like, whoever was going to get the Xbox got suckered into it and got it. As my Xbox box sits next to me, empty on the floor. It's like, it kind of is what it is at this point. I get it. They want to explore other things. But at the same time, the Xbox failed because Microsoft just stopped trying. They just stopped trying. We're not that far removed from the 360 dominating dominating the PS3. And what, even a little bit of the PS4, right? I don't know, PS4 kind of bounced back a little bit, but when Microsoft has focus on making good games as opposed to just banging the crazy woke drum, they've shown that they can be very successful. I don't understand the internal strategy. Apparently the mission statement is to fail by any means necessary. I don't know. This is just vexing. This is you set the house on fire and everybody's here to put it out, but you're going, everything's fine. It's not on fire, but we can see the fire burning. So
yeah, I think that's a great take. And Culture, before I get you in on this, I think it's very important to take a minute to say, so they've said we have nearly 40 games in development. So much more to come, he added. We surpassed over 500 million hours of gameplay streamed via the cloud this year. Microsoft's latest fiscal results were published roughly a month after the company announced it would be making roughly 12,000 people redundant, including a significant number within its video game division. We know that there was a lot of, layoffs that happened with this company. The company said those layoffs will enhance efficiency and position the company and teams for success in a dynamic marketplace. Discussing those cuts on Xbox an Xbox spokesperson told Game Developer it intends to empower employees to spend more time focusing on meaningful work by leveraging new technologies and capabilities while eliminating redundancy. Microsoft still hasn't confirmed the full scale of the cutbacks, but reports indicate that have been widespread layoffs and project cancellations at internal studios such as King, ZeniMax Media, and Rare. The company also reportedly shuttered the initiative and scrapped its Perfect Dark reboot, which, it's up in the air if that would have been good or not, but it's just not the Microsoft of old. What do you think on this, Culture? Do you think is it time to start panicking, or do you think they're making a smart move getting out of culture?
We're 1,000 miles away from panicking. I mean, that was a year or 2 years ago. Once they were allowed to become a monopoly in games and acquire all these other major gaming companies, we were doomed, because that immediately kills innovation and quality and the original gaming teams, et cetera, et cetera. This is the absolute worst thing that could have happened. We are going to have to go back in time and fix that.
In time.
I'm just saying, I have a feeling that they need to start going about tearing all these companies apart into their smallest possible pieces again, whether it be Microsoft, which is an evil corporation, or Google or anybody else. The monopolies have essentially killed everything. And that's it. Competition, creativity. Those are the two of the most important factors when it comes to this. If you have the third one in there, it's creativity. And that's it. It's done. You have nothing new coming down the pipe, and everything garbage, which is why everybody getting excited over a Nintendo adding Madden in. I'm like, who cares? You get a new Madden every year. If you buy a new Madden every year, I don't understand. To explain to me your reasoning. You can download the new rosters. You don't need the new game. And this is where we are right now. And there are no innovations being made on any of these new games now. I would argue that Ubisoft may have rediscovered how to do parkour in their games with this last one, but there was really no advancement in it. In fact, if anything, it was retroactively terrible for 1,000 different reasons, because they really wasted an opportunity to go to feudal Japan. Well, let's look at everything Xbox is doing and point out that as a game developer, they've fallen down in every regard and only replaced the good things with awful things, like the forced permanent DEI in the form of bridge because that's all they've done. They have gone and politicized everything they have to offer, all for the worse. And now those studios will never be the same. They'll never recover. You're going to get lower quality games with the lowest common denominator employees. That's what's been happening for a while. It's what Boeing is going to have to fight back from for the next 5 years. It's if you want to compare all these big corporations together, they all bought into the BlackRock garbage, and it literally killed their corporations. It's why the phenomenon, and I'm dropping a video on this tomorrow or maybe even late tonight, about the American Eagle Outfitters, AEO. Because by having Sydney Sweeney do that commercial, they were able to re-spark interest in American products in a new way.
So what you're telling me, Culture, is Sydney Sweeney could save Xbox?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I think she's the only hope. Sydney is the only hope. And you know that already. Nolan, you just wanted to say it first.
Oh, yes, yeah. President of the Sydney Sweeney fan club, just for all those aware. I'm biased around here, everybody.
Yeah, he's got it. Show it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yes, wonderful people. If she wants to get in on gaming, I've been a major one to vouch for. I would love to see Sydney Sweeney portray Samus in a Metroid movie. So Nintendo, hey, call her up. She's out there, and you have a big enough paycheck. Mr. Miyamoto, do your magic, good sir. But, Culture, I think you made some extremely good points on this, because you talk about how so many of this stuff has just been gotten so, bloated and corporate. I always think back to, ironically, because we're talking about Xbox here, Bungie back in the day, the team behind Xbox, they were so they talk about how they were like a family together. They had to work on business, but they would hide fun little things, that try to hide for the gamers to find. I remember that they would even put in Easter eggs from their fan base, like Red vs. Blue. That was a huge fan series from back in the day. And they even got in contact with the voice actors who were behind that fan series, the official Bungie team, and got them little cameos in Halo 3. It was cool. Now things are just so corporatized, to where, do we dare even do that? Or we're afraid of what kind of opinions they have on X.com or Facebook, Meta, whatever have you. And I think the reality is that gaming in the West just needs a massive reset we need to relive the days of, you have a Rare that has so much creative freedom on what they can do, within reason, mind you. And now, we see a publisher like them, instead of making all-time classics, they're relegated to Connect Sports or Pirate Games, or, we saw the Perfect Dark project completely fall apart on them, so who knows what's even coming. I think Xbox is looking very different, and you think about how things have shifted, even with Xbox One, they were still trying to innovate. There was pushback on that for, the always online, all that. But what was new about this system? And I think the sales charts are reflecting it. Kevin, I'm going to give you the final word here. What do you think? Do you think Xbox will ever have a follow-up system, or do you think they're going to be game exclusive in the next 5 years? I'm curious your opinion on this.
I think Xbox is done. I think they're just going to want to be a lazy man's version of Steam. I think that's kind of where they want to go. And like Coach said, it is unfortunate. I am legitimately baffled at how these companies were allowed to do what they did and still do. And again, we're kind of suffering the effects of that. Man, what was the last big, even just AAA titles? What was the last big AAA title you were really excited about that really did something interesting, did something really bold? What was the last sleeper small studio game that came out that really knocked your socks off? And when you look at just this current generation's catalog of games across the two systems, there's nothing here. It's still so sparse, and we're 4 or 5 years, 5.5 years in, and there's nothing spectacular. And if it was supposed to be big, it was disappointing. So I don't know. I'm kind of sad that I think Xbox is out of the game, but at the same time too, I'm I don't want them to stick around either, because they're not giving me anything that's worthwhile.
That would be my number one question, like looking at, I'm just so curious and like, what do tried and true Xbox fans, feel about what's happening to their company? Because, I'm a Nintendo guy. I'm not going to pretend I'm not biased. We started that with my opinions on Miss Sweeney. I will be very vocal when I think Nintendo is doing something wrong, and I'm always hoping for the best for them. With Xbox, I almost get kind of confused trying to figure out because I feel like the Xbox audience between each generation just keeps getting shifted and reinvented to where now it almost looks like a poor man's PlayStation, which is already, we got a lot of opinions on PlayStation these days. But even at that, it's like, I feel like it's there to be almost like a puff piece for the company. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if someone's got good points, please share them with me. But I think that Xbox is going full on digital, and maybe they're better off for being a game developer, and we can only hope maybe there's an opening for a new system. Everyone always likes this big Sega to come back with Dreamcast 2. I don't think that's happening, but I think we're going to see a dark horse emerge. But yeah, we'll see what happens coming up in the future, and if there is a new system, we'll definitely talk about it on That Gameplays. Oh my goodness, we're going to need a palate cleanser after that one. Culture, you know what cleanses my palate? The chat. Can you bring up these wonderful people?
You betcha. Let's see. It would be... we already got that one. Argentum says, don't put that horse girl game on Switch. Okay. Message
horse
received.
Girl game? Do I even want to know?
Probably not. Base player 2011 Iffy says, I think they're going to let Xbox die and go all in on Game Pass. I'm with you. I think Kevin kind of alluded to that, and I think that's probably true. Xbox has no good exclusives and first-party games anymore. Also true, because the studios that they bought, they're destroying. So you're right. They haven't had one since Halo died off. That's true. They make a huge difference. Low Spec out there saying, embrace, extend, extinguish. They're doing it to themselves now. Yes, they are. Badly. Thomas Brown says that, coupled with the mass of current Xbox generation with its 2 console variants and them forcing full equal features between them in spite of the performance difference. Yeah, that's really bad. Yeah, it sure is time for Xbox to panic. Yes, Argentum, you are correct. And Striker31 says password. Well, I don't know what that means, but
I don't recommend making your password. Yeah, maybe that's what happened to Xbox Studio. Maybe someone logged in and like the guy who decides what games are coming out are like, you know what? Backspace.
There you go. Jacob. Hey, Jacob Foxfire has returned. The man himself.
Woo!
That's right. Says, why would anyone buy Madden or EA Sports games in the past few decades? Because the common man doesn't care. I know we can get the laughs sometimes, but that common man is something outside of our bubble. That's true. It's also... look, one of the guys I know that gets that game every year because he asked for it for a present is my friend Mad Mardigan. Mad still gets Madden. And I'm dumbfounded, bewildered, befuddled. I'm baffled. I have more B words, but we're going to keep moving on. And thank you for that $10 super duper chat, my friend. Mick Spoon says, wait. Oh, that's not Mick Spoon. Mick Spoon says Sakura NECA calculator is on Switch 2.
There's your system seller. Sakura? Wait, is this what I think it is?
I don't know, but now I'm hungry. All right. I want a tempura roll now. Anyway, Jacob Foxfire again for another $10 in quarters. Thank you, my friend. Says the common man does not go to YouTube or X to see all these dreams or dramas. All they care about is the product, and that's been evident even with the Switch 2 selling out so fast despite what we see online. That's right. And despite the fact that they have 2 games to play. So good for them. I'll
say to Jacob, first up, we want to say appreciate like $20 worth of super chats. Like
we really
we're gonna get Culture that food he's been wanting. We're gonna worry up that pizza. So don't worry, Culture. I'm gonna get that for you.
I'm very hungry. I just have to beat Kevin to it. Pam Epson says, "Bless you, Jacob Foxfire." Indeed, he's very kind. Very. Noah is referring to the red versus blue Easter egg. Oh yeah, dude,
yes!
Red versus blue was so great. Oh man,
loved it so much.
I got an autographed copies of the DVDs. Yep,
awesome.
Culture,
way back
can you
in the
just
day.
stop being? You're always getting cooler and cooler, like every week. How do you do this?
Well, because I ordered them. Yeah. Uh-oh. Am I still here?
Hey. Oh no, you're here. You're here. And if you know there's something to take from this,
it just said we were having trouble streaming to X. This may be an issue with X. Oh no. Oh no. All right.
Elon,
no one says thank you. All right. Let's move on. I think we have a cleanser of palates.
Yes, definitely. Well, once again, thank you, Jacob Foxfires. We seriously
amazing.
appreciate you.
Truly
and we're going to
amazing.
show our appreciation with our next story here because we're going to give you a leak. All right, coming to us from the good people at tomsguide.com by Daragraph Murphy. The title states, PS6 and new PlayStation handheld specs reportedly leak. This is a huge upgrade over PlayStation 5. Now, if that is not a headline, I don't know what is. All right, Sony's plans for its rumored PlayStation 6 and PlayStation handheld are heating up. Following reports of the console's codenames, Origin and Canis, or Robin, and Robin Plus, respectively. That is a lot of codenames, my goodness. And being powered by an AMD APUs, now we may have seen a glimpse of the power they deliver. A new leak from YouTuber Moore's Law is Dead via WCCF Tech has revealed specs for Sony's highly anticipated PlayStation 6 and handheld consoles. Apparently, the PlayStation 6 is aiming for 160W TBP, along with a chip with an 8 Zen 6 cores, and somewhere between 40 and 48 RDNA5 compute units. This is actually fewer compute units compared to the PS5 Pro, which offers 60. However, the AMD's RDNA5 architecture, each unit is expected to deliver more power than what Sony's current consoles push out. What's more, it said that the PS6 will utilize GDDR7 video memory, which you'll find in RTX 50 series GPUs, providing a higher estimated bandwidth. Culture, you're my tech guy around here. Do you find this like pretty groundbreaking, or is this about industry standard from where we are about, a few years removed from the PS5?
Honestly, this doesn't seem like it's a big upgrade, but it is an upgrade. We're about due for a little bit of adjustment to the PS5 in front of the PS6. So, this is not that huge of an upgrade over the PS5. There's more out there, to be fair, as far as tech goes, and there's more out there in front of what they could be delivering. But if they're not really trying to deliver more than a very small nominal upgrade, and they don't want to make the equipment even more expensive, this is probably a good path to go. Most definitely they need to upgrade their video delivery, but it doesn't sound like it will be that much of an upgrade. Performance wise, it'll probably deliver a little higher, as far as how things run, but overall this is probably not even going to get an upgrade to the controller, to be fair. At least that's not my expectation. And the leak may be brutal, but outside of like some memory stuff, I don't think there's going to be much.
Hey, well, as per the leak, it's expected the PS6 will offer triple the rasterization performance over the PS5 and double that of the PS5 Pro. Rasterization is the technique of using computer graphics to convert 3D objects to a 2D display.
Yeah,
and
but
the
it'll all
faster
be
performance, the better. Good.
They'll all be done via AI, so it's really just going to rely on AI more than it is actual horsepower. So it would be different if they were adding horsepower plus the AI. But I'm not going to get into it. It just, to me, we're getting to the point now where, because of the artificial price increase across the board for a lot of this tech, they're really not going to give it kind of the major hardware redevelopment that it needs, and they're going to make up for that with AI. So that's all.
You don't want to play artificial prices for artificial AI. It doesn't go hand in hand.
No, not for me. So it is.
Kevin,
what it is.
what's your perspective on this? The tech stuff is in early states can be a little bit overwhelming unless you are like the master of tech, like Culture is over here. But I don't know. Like, I tend to see a lot of like the tech jumbo from companies over the years, and I just kind of have to be like, okay, let's see what my friends have to say on that. What do you think? Do you think this is showing a sort of impressiveness for the PlayStation 6?
I guess our gaming consoles are now just going to be occupying the same space as the next iPhone. It's just a little bit faster. It's got a little more room, but it's the same bloody device for an extra $150 than the last one. I don't mean to poo-poo on the parade, but like, I don't know.
Oh, don't worry. No one's throwing PlayStation at a parade right now. Don't worry.
Again, like we've said it a couple of times, like I miss the innovation. I really do. I'm tired of paying top dollar for mild upgrades, but then having these companies go, well, we had to charge you this much, and we stopped going as far as we could to keep it affordable. It's already not affordable. So if just give me something that I'm willing to make the investment in, instead of just trickling a little here and a little bit there. If you're gonna do this to me, if you're gonna do this, what's the point? It's just a little bit better. It's just a little bit faster. It'll be just a little bit prettier, and AI is gonna do a lot of the heavy lifting. All right, so how much more are you gonna charge me for it? And will you actually make games this go around?
Yeah. I when I get a video game console, I expect video games. And I don't think you're the only one with that sentiment, too. Because it seems like they're trying to change it up. Because if there's one thing I consistently see from the Sony fans, because unlike Xbox, I still feel like they're pretty vocal, like they want the best out of their consoles, and they haven't been horribly alienated out of the years, despite Sony's best attempts. It almost feels like to me. That's a personal opinion here. But they've wanted to see a follow-up to the PlayStation Portable. And another part of this leak is saying that, well, we might be in store for another one. As for the PlayStation handheld, its chip will reportedly come with a 4 Zen 6C cores and between 12 and 20 RDNA 5 compute units. Man, I miss when they used to use terms like blast processing and make up all these bogus terms, because at least that was more catchy. This puts it at a half the rasterization power of a PS5 based off its estimates. I mean, we are at the point where we're talking about the rasterization power. I mean, my goodness, I want to hear about how, I remember, when the PSP was out, you had, Star Wars Battlefront, Renegade Squadron. You can now play Grand Theft Auto in the hand, and it's like a PS2 in your hand. Now I basically feel like I'm listening to a PowerPoint presentation, and it's such a snore fest. Am I wrong on that, Culture? Am I wrong on that?
No, you're spot on. And it's not just because of the overly complex conversation around some of this stuff, or the hardware itself, or what it's going to do with the games, or what it's going to do with the graphics, or how it can handle this many teraflops of blah, blah, blah. None of that really all that much matters anymore. It's always going to come down to how the game developers are going to be able to utilize the new equipment, and whether or not they'll be able to use that. Because take a look with the PS5. Studios aren't even using the horsepower they have efficiently. If anything, the game optimization is a lost art that they just seem to have abandoned completely. And so they'll take advantage of the outright horsepower, and not even, again, it's the same thing Kevin just said, no innovation. I mean, I could go on that bandwagon for like a month. There's been nothing new. You going to bring out some new equipment? Well, take a look at what our friend Low Spec Linux Gaming can do with his low spec laptop with his Linux build. It's just like, okay, the game looks great. Why am I spending all this money? I mean, that's where we're at. We're at the point now where they aren't taking advantage of these new features. It allows the unqualified, meritless developers that they brought in with DEI to continue to be lazy and under deliver and under optimize anything they give us. Anyway, I can go on forever but now I sound like a very grumpy old man. I don't think
no, because we're the hip young that game plays. We're cool with the kids, so like. But if there's one thing I want to close out this with is what we do know. I think this is very important from the leak. The PS6 is expected to go into production in mid-2027, with a release then tipped for late 2027 or early 2028. It set the price at $499, just like the PS5 when it launched, which it's nice to see something that's not going up in price, but you have to ask, you can talk all about price, but what is the value? And the value will be determined not necessarily by the developers, the publishers, or even those at PlayStation. It'll be decided by the consumers and the gamers and their most loyal fans. And we'll have to see, come 2026, is this leak legit? Because I think the biggest thing they need to show right now is, do they have innovation and do they have games? We'll see. All right, Culture, that wraps up that story. What's the chat saying?
Well, they're saying quite a lot with some money, in fact. And our good friend Jacob, that's right, Jacob Foxfire is back at it. Here's
another
$10.
10. Thank you.
I feel like Jacob's here for real for $10 more, saying the common man does not go to YouTube or X to see these dramas. Oh, I got this one already. Sorry about that. Let's do this one.
So good we had to read it twice.
It was, yeah. Jacob again says, I made predictions long ago here. Yes, you did. And so did I. Xbox is looking out. Consoles are looking to get out for sure. And I think PlayStation is on its last legs. It kind of sounds like it to me, with 6 being their last push. And so far, that was an amazing sneeze. Not impressed with PS6. Well, I'm not. How about you, Kevin? Are you impressed with these numbers, stats, this console?
No, I'm not. And it's not because I didn't understand anything that Nolan said for the first 5 minutes until you explained it.
Well, it's just like I said. Regardless, it's just a very small increase in the capability from 5 to 6. Okay, in comparison, and they're going to be utilizing AI more than they are actual improvement. So that's all they're doing.
I just have the robot think for you.
Yeah.
I do find that when they overload you with techno jargon, there is no there. It's just
right.
Here's a little bit.
Greetings, human. Welcome to PlayStation 6 experience with 700 gigabytes of data. What does that even mean? We don't know.
Like I guess I'm at the point where it's like I remember when you got 3 GTA games per system, and now we're getting 3 systems per GTA game. It's like it's like if you can't innovate and if you can't give me big powerful titles, in a timely fashion, like I don't want to be getting an AARP code by the time Grand Theft Auto 8 comes out. We just got to figure out a better way to save this industry.
You guys will be putting an empty disc box on top of my gravestone. We get anyway. Regardless, all I have to say is this: the increases are artificial, all being done via AI, and the graphics card that they're going to be delivering with the PS6 is essentially the same thing as a RTX 4086. So, in other words, you will by the time all this comes out, you will have a better graphics card in your PC by at least 1, if not 2 generations. So, anyway, back to the supers. We've got one from again Jacob for another $5. Holy cow!
We give you an arcade cabinet in this machine, or invite him to the pizza table. Are we okay with Jacob at the pizza table?
Yeah,
I think he deserves a slice
for sure. Saying, I think the only thing I didn't expect was how expensive PCs will get. You want to talk about loans on houses for Switch 2.
Yeah.
How about PC parts? PC parts have been wild lately, between not terribly expensive and wildly expensive. I mean, generationally, video cards are finding their way back to, reasonable prices, but not for current generation. I mean, it's always kind of been that way. Right now, I mean, you can still put a decent system together for somewhere between $800 and $1,000. If you think about inflation, that's not too bad. But these prices should be going down. If we could finally get a lot of stuff resolved on the trade side of things, we'd be far better off. So I think that'll all come down to a reasonable price. And I think that solar panels, believe it or not, if you're in that side of things, those are, after the tariffs, are going to start to come down pretty dramatically because they're overpriced right now. It costs far less money, like fractionally less, fractional money, I should say, than actually producing the panels than what they sell for. It is like
Culture, careful saying that on the air because like Xbox might be listening in. They'll be like, we need innovation for a new system. Just put solar panels on it. That'll work.
Okay, yeah, don't do that. Base player 2011 Iffy for 5 says, "Hey,
Thank
Valve. Now would be a really good time to give the Steam box another go." I agree. I actually have
I would
one.
buy that.
It's probably in the other room. Look, it was like this big. It was like this little tiny like shoe deck. It's like the size of a Roku. Okay.
They could make it look like a companion cube, man. Like there's possibilities here, like different designs.
And they had much better controllers, including like multiple like trigger paddles and everything else. Like they had all the regular hat buttons on the top, but they had these trigger paddles and things. I mean, it was much, much better. You could literally shift and downshift if you were playing a racing game on the very bottom of the panel. The thing was rad. One of the best controllers ever made. And I agree with you. I definitely think they need to do that. On that note, what an incredible night we've had, gentlemen, with the super chats. I want to say thanks to everybody for your contributions here at the end. We got to get the stream back up to the huge, huge numbers, if you wouldn't mind. So next time we're alive, share the stream, share the dream, and help us get the word out there. This is a great comment from Annoyed Mom, agreeing with Jacob. I think both Xbox and PlayStation are running out of gas. Annoyed Mom? I'm with you. I agree, 1,000%.
Best username ever when it comes to regards to systems being lumped together,
Yeah. Annoyed Mom again says Nintendo always understood that it's their cast of characters, not their hardware, that carries them. Perfect description. Exactly correct. And that's the truth about Nintendo, and I think it always has been, to be fair.
Definitely. All right. Well, I think that's going to be about wrapping up on this stream here and such. I think the forces of the universe are trying to do everything we can to shut down this stream. So I guess we got a little too spicy going on here, but that's okay. We're going to give you the best information we can, all the leaks, rumors, and all the fun stuff and all the truth that's out there. So Culture Casino, where can these people find you on this wonderful web? I hear about this show with something called the 6 Minute Daily. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, the 6 Minute Daily is every single weekday. We go through the news as fast as we can in 6 minutes. We get through about 17 stories on average, and then sometimes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we have bonus time to talk about other things as well that may not be directly like related to what we'd covered before. I have that on Culture Casino channel, believe it or not. May make it very simpy. Yes, simple. And I also have, I can't speak tonight. It's very simpy. And I also have a great new channel. There you go. I have a great new channel called Campione Reacts, where we talk realistically about modern relationships and the crazy kinds of advice you get from places like the Tickety Talks and the Bookgrams and the Instafaces and all of that. So you don't want to miss that. Campione Reacts, Campione Reacts. And on that note, I'm wondering what Kevin does. What do you do, Kevin?
Tuesdays and Fridays, I'll be partnered up with Lauren Connor, and we'll be hosting our late night show, Lauren and Apollo, and sometimes Culture will be there. and we'll have friends like a Martin Stone and obviously Pro, and eventually Nolan will get you back in there. And I don't know, we tackle all kinds of weird sports, and then we'll rather say entertainment, whatever comes into our mind. And then on Tuesday I'll be with Marv for Tooney Town Wrestling, and Thursday I'll be with Marv for Tooney. What are we called? Are we Tooney Talk TV? I can't remember.
Tooney Talk TV. I always make that mistake too.
And then eventually we'll launch the House of Apollo channel. So I'm hoping to start filming some stuff in the next 2 weeks.
Yes. Well, I'm very much excited for that. And if you guys want to see me, you can find me here every Saturday on That Gameplays Live with my amazing co-hosts here. It's been very much appreciate everyone tuning in the chat, getting a chance to hype things up, craziness has been happening week upon week in gaming. We're here to bring everything we can for you. So I think it's time to wrap things up, and we'll see you guys back next weekend. But until next time, I hope you all have a magical night ahead of you. And remember, get your game on!
Get your game on! There you go.